Thank you, Mr. President. First Amendment would eliminate all discretion for doctors and parents for children. Some of my colleagues have already eloquently expressed why all of us should hesitate to think that the 56 of us in this room know better than those esteemed professionals and the parents of the children that we are discussing in forcing through a bright line rule that leaves no room for particular situations. That is a very dangerous thing to do in the medical field. Bans are extreme and should only be done from a legislative point of view in cases where there is absolutely no reason or rationale that a given treatment could be useful in any situation, period. And that simply is not the case with what we are talking about in the senator from the First Amendment. Amendment number 2, eloquently spoken to by the senator from the Second, is basically saying that adults who are making their own decisions, full-grown adults who are paying for health care, should not be permitted to get the same medical treatment that is available to everybody else. And we've been through a list of cases, afflictions from the senator from the Second, asking everyone directly, what is the difference between this and these other things that you expect and deserve to have treated? Again, a very dangerous thing to substitute our judgment for that of medical professionals and to declare that any one of us has a moral judgment on an adult's decision in their own medical care that we will make for other people. And clearly, if you're not going to allow an adult who is paying for their health care to have a medical procedure when no other medical procedure would be off the table for that individual, then you're just simply saying we are not going to allow transgender people to exist. We will do everything in our power to just deny their existence. And I would suggest to you that that is not what Georgians believe. That's not what Americans believe. But I think the bigger picture is the fact that we have had so many of these culture war bills here in this chamber for the last 4 years in particular. And that is because that it's the culture war bills are the easy things to do, to pick on vulnerable populations and try to distract your voters and the voters of Georgia from the failure of the Republican agenda in this country and in this state to deliver a good quality of life for Georgians. You can try to keep your base happy by working them up about some supposed boogeyman that has no basis in reality and hope they don't notice several really important facts. I would ask that all of you look at today's Wall Street Journal. It makes abundantly clear in some very easy to read graphs exactly what has happened in our economy for the last 45 years. And that is that the benefits of American economic output in the last 45 years have all gone to businesses, shareholders, and a few executives, while regular workers, regular folks have barely gotten any of that pie. Shareholders, executives, business is like this over the last 45 years. What the workers get, what the average guy gets, what average Joe gets, has fallen precipitously. And therefore, it is no accident that we have had culture war bill after culture war bill in here to distract from the fact, from those facts, and that there has been no ideas offered by a Republican majority that's been in power for 20 years on how to reverse that situation. Instead, what we're getting is, we'll cut your income taxes. But that doesn't work, because the second you do any math, you see that all the people who have gotten screwed over in the economy and are making less than they ever made in real dollars from 45 years ago are the ones who will end up paying more. And see, what's going on is that everybody knows it. Georgians are tired of politicians that lie and say one thing and do another. And the reality with this tax legislation is that it is getting panned not just by Democrats in this chamber. The other chamber won't stand up for it. Many Republicans in here won't stand up for it, and that is for the simple reason that it's a scam and the math doesn't work at all. And so, because we don't want to acknowledge that that's true, now we fall back to our old tactic of, let's just go back to the culture war bills. Let's just go back to the culture war bills, because we don't want, it's not going so well. The wool isn't getting pulled over everyone's eyes with these affordability agenda tax bills the way we hope that they would. So that's out the window, and now it's back to the let's just pick on people agenda. The things that very few people care about, the things that impact very few people, because the other stuff is hard. The other stuff requires real work, and it's hard, and the solutions aren't easy. So, because I guess we don't want to just sit in here for 40 days and do absolutely nothing, we got to come up with something to fill our time. And that's just to pass all these bills that do nothing but pick on a few vulnerable adults and children, and do nothing for anybody else. I want to read to you some very telling statistics from an article that ran in The Current a few months ago. So over the last 20 years, Georgia's per capita income has fallen precipitously, which is the same thing that I referenced from today's Wall Street Journal that has happened to average workers. That same thing has happened here, but it's worse, because our average per capita income has fallen precipitously in the rankings of states. So we are worse off. Georgians have less money in their pocket now than they did in the year 2000. Georgia's PCI, that's per capita income, between 2000 and 2020, fell against the national average, and we rank all the way back to 40th. We are worse off 20 years into the 21st century than we were 40 years earlier. And I'm quoting from this article, it's not me. Listen to this quote. It's impossible to ignore the fact that the reversal in Georgia's PCI performance coincided with the Republican takeover of Georgia's state government. Governor Sonny Perdue, who defeated incumbent Democratic Governor Roy Barnes in 2002 to become the first GOP governor of Georgia in more than a century, presided over the biggest drop in per capita income performance in Georgia in modern times, if not ever. By the time Perdue left office at the end of 2010, the number of counties in Georgia that are in the bottom national quartile of wealth had nearly doubled. And the percentage of the state's population living in the counties where the bottom had fallen out on real spending dollars for Georgians had more than tripled. So I would suggest to you that that's exactly what's going on. There is no affordability agenda out of this chamber. There is no reckoning with the fact that Republican policies have contributed to the vast increasing income inequality that we have, where people struggle to get by while the executives and the shareholders take home all of the gains. I would suggest to you that our political system is not reckoning with that. I think we all need to understand that this is exactly why Americans are so angry. They are furious that this foundational element of American life, where the vast majority of American workers in the last number of years, in the last 45 years, has gotten completely screwed while the elites have made all the money, is why our society is struggling so much. And it is our responsibility as leaders to try to contend with that. But the minute that everyone can figure out that these tax bills are a scam, it's right back to, let's just fill our time by picking on transgender kids. The baseline time spent in this chamber dealing with things that would make Georgians' lives better, with serious issues, things that impact the vast majority of people, it's just been non-existent. And it is a waste of Georgians' time for us to sit up here and spend our time on nonsense like this to pick on people instead of admitting what it is that Georgians actually want us to do and want us to focus on. And I'm hoping that as we turn to different leadership within this state, that we get serious again about being legislators and legislating for the common good, and stop trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes by throwing shiny objects up, picking on people, bill after bill after bill, who don't deserve it. They deserve our respect as human beings. They have dignity as human beings, and using them as a punching bag to distract from your economic failures is something that everyone in here should be ashamed of. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.